I mean,
what?
it should.
Okay. So, like... Wait, that's in my deck, but... Oh! No. They did fix that one. Okay, no, they did fix it. My bad.
Okay. And hello and welcome to the Tenno 2-Drink Minimum. Brought to you by the Console Casuals. I am one half of the Console Casuals, and I will be one of your hosts for tonight. I am Cazz, and I am joined tonight by...
A guy who's looking at something that didn't make sense before, but kind of makes sense now a little bit, except it's still not right 100%, but I guess I'll deal with it because it's really not the end of the world, so I'm okay.
Whose name is way too long to pronounce.
But yes, I am ShotFace.
You are
it's really
ShotFace,
short.
so,
It's actually pretty short. You're just being obnoxious. I don't care for that one bit, good sir. I've had a long work week. All right, so you need to ease up on me. Okay, you need to like just take a step back, get your shit, get it together,
and put it in a bag,
and
so it's together.
Put it in a bag, take it to the shit store, do whatever you gotta do. All right.
Right.
What the fuck am I looking at here? Okay, yeah, I have Paragon loaded up, which is why I'm confused. But no, I understand what it was. The issue I was talking about with the deck creator in Paragon is actually fixed.
Right.
Not the clipping at the very edge of the deck creator and the gem window, but the cards being highlighted and darkened. The darkened cards are not in your hand. The highlighted cards are in your hand, except some cards have card art that looks like it's brighter than it should be. So at first glance, it doesn't look right, but they've also added a new highlight border that's very, very bright. It's like a white border around the cards that are selected. So, okay, it took a second for me to put that together because some cards just have bright card art.
Right.
So it looked like they were highlighted when they actually aren't. Because if you mouse over them, hover over them with the cursor, they actually do highlight. So, okay.
So
it was throwing me off. It was because they're it's a silly problem to have any issues with that when they literally had somebody make that.
Right.
Like there's a guy who put together their deck builder because the last deck builder sucked.
Right.
So they puts together this one that's okay. It's not great, but it's better than what we had. And he's got a visual issue, but the visual issue only affects PS4 players. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just it's interesting because Paragon's going through a lot of flux right now.
It's actually in a really good place.
Gameplay wise, yes, but other than that, like the menu and the UI changes are not so good.
There are some. There's a phone. That's your phone. That's not on silent. But there are some interesting issues that I've been coming to terms with in the game. But we will get to that shortly. This is the Tenno 2-Drink Minimum. It is was primarily a Warframe podcast, which we've moved from not just Warframe, but pretty well console gaming in general. So we like to cover what we've been playing, and it's a 2-drink minimum podcast. So what we've been drinking. What you drinking?
I am out of alcohol, so I'm just drinking lemonade.
Funny you should say that, because what I'm drinking is actually some gin and freshly squeezed lemonade from actual lemons. Yeah, Ross decided to break out one of the food processing units and make real lemonade. And then he threw 3/4 of a bottle of gin into it.
It's a very, very him thing to do.
So I decided to have a glass of that today because I've had a very rough work week, as I stated before. But other than that, we'll start with me because we can see what you're doing.
This is what I've been playing. This and like Stardew Valley, which are
you shut your face. You shut your face. We'll get to you because I'm sure we'll discuss that. But you shut up. All right. I have oddly enough been doing a lot of testing and playtesting essentially in Paragon for one. I fell down a Doom rabbit hole the other day because I was in a mood and I really needed to quote-unquote exercise some demons. So I've been playing Doom on ultraviolence just to kind of make myself feel better because work again has been very, very stressful. So it's good to come home and just frag stuff for a couple of hours in silence in the dark with loud metal music playing. And then I finally got around to looking at the update for No Man's Sky.
Right.
Yeah, those are crickets. Yep.
Yeah.
Those are crickets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, really? No Man's Sky?
Yes, No Man's Sky, and as it seems, they have come a long way. They have actually made it into what appears to be a proper game. They've added a lot of refinement and expansion to the main quest that really wasn't very apparent in the launch of the game. So you start off, you wake up and you're actually in the quest. And then there's actually side missions you can pick up for extra stuff. There's all kinds of new crafting things you can do. You can build ATVs, you can build bases, you can set home bases, you can set waypoints anywhere in the fucking solar system you've been to. The flight and shooting mechanics have been overhauled slightly. The interface is considerably better. There's better options. There's what else was the one thing? Oh yeah, like your inventory space. They've switched it up to now your mods that increase your suit's capacity and things like that. They don't take up an inventory slot. They have their own separate area that you can put them in. So your inventory is just inventory. And much like Minecraft, you have a spot where you can put your armor, you can put your helmet, stuff like that. But in No Man's Sky, it's like you put your sprint mod, you put your survivability mods and things like that. And then they actually added something new for terraforming.
So you can terraform a planet?
Well, I mean, on a very small scale. It's essentially what it was with the gun, where you can mine materials, except now you can actually do it to the terrain with a certain mod you can put on weapons. So, yeah, they have actually added that, where you can literally build up materials into, structures and things like that, and you can actually dig into, subterranean areas very, very quickly with these tools. It's very interesting. The ATVs are really interesting and fun to mess with. They've changed some of the flight controls and things like that, so that actually feels considerably better. You can fly way lower to the ground. Like they've made some genuine quality of life improvements to this game.
Really?
And granted, I had to reinstall it to find all this stuff and check it out.
Yeah.
But I had heard a couple people speaking about it a couple of weeks ago when the update actually dropped. So I jumped on the subreddit and I looked around, and their subreddit, unlike many other subreddits I go to for video games, is one of the most positive subreddits there is. Those dudes genuinely love what they're doing over there and the game they're playing. The game they have now, which is, light years ahead of the game we had when it first launched. Also, like most Sony games that come out, that have come out in the last couple of months, it has a photo mode, and people are sharing amazing videos and beautiful sunrises and crazy stuff, because the photo mode is just like it is in, say, Horizon Zero Dawn. Where it immediately stops the action, pauses everything, and you have a free-floating camera you can mess with. You can mess with time of day and all that good stuff, and some of the lighting effects and whatnot. And some people have made some really, really nice images. And they post them up on their subreddit. Those guys are super happy. It's not like going to a Dark Souls subreddit or something, or For Honor, God forbid. Don't go to the For Honor subreddit. That's just meme hell.
That's asking
those
for
guys,
hurt.
Those guys are just salt comprised of salt. They're mean. They're really, they're horrible people. But I just said the For Honor guys are horrible people. God forbid any one of them catches this.
Right.
But yeah, so I've been doing that. Did a little Doom. Still dabbling in Diablo, finishing up the season. And some Warframe, because we had some stuff happen in Warframe this week on consoles, as well as PC, I guess. But we can get to that. So you have been playing around in the
little game we've been watching right now.
That game right there. What is that? That's Absolver.
This is Absolver, the new fighting game that came out this week. Is it?
It is a fighting game, and I think it's a very interesting game. I think it's a great concept. I think it's definitely kind of in the wheelhouse that I like of a very tactical fighter, a very paced fighter. Like For Honor was supposed to be, and like Dark Souls PvP is supposed to be.
Right.
Where anything with stamina-based combat that has PvP essentially causes you to think about your decisions a lot more. And that game seems to be very much based on just the PvP aspect and the combat. And
yeah.
I know there's the deck building system where it actually you build your fighting style essentially as you go.
It's fascinating, and like looking at it from an outside perspective, You have no idea what, like, here, I'll go to my combat deck. We'll go ahead and go practice, and I'll show you what my combat deck looks like on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sense out of all of this. But what's happening and what's going on with each one of these, and each one of these starts in a stance and ends in a stance, but then they go in sequence, and then you can use your alternative attacks because you only have 2 buttons to kind of change up what you're doing. And there's just each individual attack has, you know, can have iframes or a parry strike, or can go through, can like penetrate through super armor, or like there's a ton of stuff, and the move list is a little nutty.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
well, I mean, they're taking animation from like all martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at however many dynamic moves the human body can make, and then however many fluid motions you can link together with the human form without, you know, causing you to put your knee between your own tits. You know? So yeah, I could see the complexity and all of that, and it seems like it has a lot of depth, at least for that particular aspect. I don't know much about the systems or anything like that, you know, the economy or anything. So I can't really speak to that stuff, but I have seen the fighting considerably.
The most unique thing about this game is the fact of you start off with one style, and you start off with a very small, limited moveset. The whole, I guess, single PvE story content is you are a person training to become an absolver. A highly skilled melee martial artist. But the
There's
idea,
like a tower you climb or something like that?
You go around, you have to defeat all the mini-bosses, then you go up to the tower and you can beat the absolver that's sitting there. She's actually quite difficult, and she uses she's kind of cheating, because she uses all the different, because each different style has its own special ability. Like the Forsaken that I'm using right now has a parry ability. The other one has a dodge ability, or Windfall has a dodge ability, and Colt has a absorb ability. But she uses all 3. And it's interesting to me because how the game is set up is it's all set up around you learning your moves and then chaining these things together. But in order to use them, you of course have to learn them, and you learn them by battling against them, whether it be in PvP or PvE. You can learn them both.
And the PvP system is a dynamic system, like, say, a la Destiny or something like that, right? Like,
yeah, it
PvP,
has dynamic drop in, drop out. But on top of that, it also has PvP. You can straight up go and fight someone. Like, I wanted to declare for
yeah,
it
has a genuine, just straight up PvP setup. Okay.
Yeah, matchmaking. Yep.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
And they've already said they're planning to add 3v3s as well.
Now, the PvP mode, that's everything adds to your account essentially, right? Like, you go to PvP, you know, by itself, and you get to essentially fight people, which trains you and gives you the XP, so you can build up your moveset, right? So that you can use that in PvP. So it's one conjoined system that you can garner experience from any facet of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Or any corner of, rather. So, okay, that's actually a really smart move. I'm curious about, because the game is really just move from point A to point B and combat.
Yeah.
So my thing is, like, that's great if that's what you're looking for. That's fantastic. But, like, outside of that, it doesn't seem like there's much. There's maybe armor and things like that, but I think that's all just cosmetic.
No.
I don't see that. No, it's not?
And all of your armor has stats, and it changes your speed, your mobility score down here.
Okay, that's...
You actually have a mobility score. Everything, if you notice, everything has a weight. That determines part of your mobility. Your mobility determines part of your damage. On top of that, you also have, as you're dodging correct, actually, like, using your abilities to dodge and mitigate damage, you get tension shards, which these tension shards are then used to cast abilities like you can do a small dot heal that slowly will heal you over time, and as soon as you actually get hit, the heal stops. But there's some ways to cheese that with, like, iframes and things. Shockwave, which, like, pushes people away from you. I use that a lot if I get caught up, because blocking uses stamina. If somebody hits you with a block break, it doesn't necessarily break your block, it just costs you a ton of stamina. which gives them the advantage.
That's normal for a stamina-based combat system. That's been there since Dark Souls.
But it's like useful for getting people away from you. There's things that like this causes your opponent to take more stamina when doing stuff. This keeps your enemy from using shards. You can like silence people. You can earthquake, which is like a quick stun. Exhaust, things like that. It's very interesting. There's a lot of dynamics, as well as you can use those tension shards to summon weapons. And right now there are 2 types of weapons in game. And the weapons are, you can either have a sword, and there are different types of swords, or you can have war gloves. Now, war gloves just slow down your combos. They don't change your combos, they just slow them down.
Okay, so was that like fist wraps or something?
Yeah,
like
they have like they're giant like gloves, and depending on what style of war gloves you're using, it determines how much slash versus impact and all that good stuff. But the other one is swords, which have their own attacks, as well as they also have some attacks that are standard that you can use in that are already ones that you know that are just they aren't necessarily attacking with the sword, but you still get to retain the sword in your possession while you're doing it.
Okay. Now, aside from Absolver, what else have you been playing?
I've been playing Stardew Valley.
You have been playing Stardew Valley religiously.
Yeah. Like, it's that one more day, one more block mentality.
Yep. You are definitely Minecraft out in Stardew Valley right now.
It's a lot of fun, man. I got chickens.
You were playing it.
I have 3 chickens.
You were playing it up to 5 minutes before we started getting ready for the podcast. Okay, you were playing it while I was playing Warframe and farming and doing all kinds of stuff.
I mean, like, I got like 4 chickens, and I've made a ton of crops, and I got second in diversity of crops, and I have a really cool fishing pole, and...
Do we know when they're planning on putting in the multiplayer?
For Stardew Valley?
Yeah.
It's, they say they want it to come with the addition to Stardew Valley on Switch, because it is coming to the Switch.
Yeah, but like, do we have a time frame? Because I was under the impression that it would be before, like the game rush for winter. But that wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
Because you don't want to put in you don't want to release it on the Switch, which is one thing that's. I mean, it would make sense because it would be a new game technically on the Switch.
Right.
With that added feature, but then you've got that feature coming out on all the other platforms. It's not going to have the impact on the other platforms. But on the Switch, it would make the most sense because more than one person... The purpose of a Switch is to be social with other gamers. If somebody else has a Switch and you're at the airport, you can play Stardew Valley together,
Right.
Like, that's what people do with Switches. That's part of the thing. So, that makes sense that it would be before the big holiday rush, which is coming up on us pretty quickly. But I could also see it being pushed back a little bit, just to get it out of the way of the holiday rush.
I could see it being like midwinter, right after New Year's.
Oh yeah, like a late January type of thing. Like
right before all of the winter games.
Well, it would be after all of the holiday stuff, which is the winter games, and then you have that tiny little lull between January and March. So you have all of February where you could sneak something in there and get people's attention, because March is when, March is now second Christmas for video games. That's where AAAs start going to when they don't want to be on the first-person shooter docket with everybody in October and September. I'm sorry, October and November. But, okay. So, you've been playing Absolver and Stardew Valley. Is that all you've been doing this week? Because I haven't really seen you. I haven't really seen you on Paragon, and you haven't touched Warframe in a while.
I've kind of gotten a little bit out of Warframe. It's just, I don't know,
It's break time?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a break time for me.
Because, I have been looking for reasons to play Warframe, but I have been playing other games because sometimes you gotta take a step back when you've been playing a single game for a very long time. You don't play that all the time. You definitely take a moment to think. But I did start getting back into it this week specifically because of Hydroid Prime. Hydroid Prime dropped on PC and console and wherever the fuck else this game is played. So he's out with Nami Scala Prime and the Ballistica Prime, which has like a neat effect when you shoot it when you charge the actual shot and you shoot it. You essentially throw the body away but leave the spirit. And it's a really neat function. It's interesting. There are some visual aesthetic and lore implications I've noticed, because the actual the barrel end essentially of what is a hand crossbow looks very much like the lens weapon, which came out recently, and the lens is a Corpus weapon, and the Corpus take their technology from the Orican way back in the day, so they've bastardized Orican technology. So you look at there are similarities between the Ballistica Prime, which is supposed to be the Prime version, the original version from way back in the day of the lore of Warframe, right? And then you look at this modern piece of technology made by a fucking
Corpus group.
This particular, this Corpus group. So, like, I think that's very interesting, and I'm curious as to not just like the visual connection there, but like I don't know, it's something I always find interesting is when you see similarities and stuff, and you know that there's lore implications as to why the similarities exist visually in that game. I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but it's very ingrained in that game.
Yeah, aside from visual aesthetics, because the Nami Scala does look fucking amazing as a Prime. It is one of the most beautiful weapons in the game.
I don't know.
I like it a lot.
I don't know.
I think it's pretty as fuck. Me and John were talking about stats of dual-bladed weapons earlier, and between the Nami Scala Prime, the the Dual Commas Prime, which just left the game, or is leaving the game shortly, or no, it did leave. It's gone now.
Yeah.
You can't farm for it anymore unless you have relics that have those parts on it now, as well as Trinity and the Kavasa Prime banner. Stats-wise, it looks like the Nami Scala does 10 points less damage than the Dual Commas Prime, but it has better supplementary stats.
Yeah.
So, and it has lower supplementary stats than our beloved dual Prisma Cleavers, but it does considerably more damage. Now, so there's a debate I'm having in my head. It's like, are the stats, because they're higher, the supplementary stats are higher than the Dual Commas Prime, but the damage is only 10 points lower, does that mean that they are more than comparable to the dual Prisma Cleavers?
Right.
Because they do a fuck ton more damage than the dual Prisma Cleavers, but the dual Prisma Cleavers have amazing supplementary stats. So you can make a critical status build, you can make a straight up critical build, you can do a status build, or you can do a condition overload critical build, or crazy shit like that. Like the dual Prisma Cleavers, their supplementary stats make them perfect for really anything you want to do melee-wise.
Right.
But thinking about it with John, I did notice that the dual Prisma Cleavers have one thing over both of these Prime weapons, and that is they have a Syndicate mod, which gives them 100 extra damage, as well as a healing wave and a gas blast. So they will eventually outpace them.
Right. Okay.
For overall DPS. So it's really a toss-up on what you want to do, and if you like dual-wielded weapons anyway in that game. Not everybody really does, and the quick attack is actually really where you want to be at. So I do like them with the swirling tiger stance. I don't know. I think it's a very interesting stance. Yeah, but that's beside the point. Then there's Hydroid, motherfucking Prime. King Splashy Puddle Man is officially a thing in the game. He got his rework. He's been reworked again, and now he's got a bug that their devs are saying we're going to keep because it does a fuck ton of damage, and right now everybody likes it. So might as well keep it because that'll incentivize people to at least get the frame or take a look at it. And the more interest you have in a Prime Access pack, the better from a business standpoint. So I get that. And Hydroid, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get all the weapons. I'm going to do that. I'm going to level them up. Maybe put some Forma. Maybe. That's a tentative maybe.
That's a solid. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, because he's still Hydroid, and he's visually compelling. Hydroid Prime is visually stunning. Plus, Fred recently put out a frickin' a Grax skin for him, which we don't have on consoles yet. We're not going to get till the next major or not major, but the next update, actual update, because getting Prime Access isn't an actual patch. But the next actual patch that we get, we'll have that next we'll have the next Tenno Gen round, so it'll have Faven's Grax skins in there, his two, which is one is Hydroid. So, yeah, fucking talk today. So yeah, even though visually Hydroid is amazing to look at, Hydroid Prime anyway, his skill set, his move list, whatever you want to call it, his particular powers are not compelling enough for me to give a shit. Sorry. I don't...
Not feeling it?
No, I am not a Hydroid Prime. I don't care how cool he looks. For me, aesthetics are a very big issue. Like, the moment I love the way something looks, I become interested in it. I gotta like the way it looks. It's gotta grab my attention visually. And I know that's retarded, but that's the way I am. I'm retarded. So...
yeah,
when I look at him,
I get that.
It makes when I look at him, I want to play it. But then when I remember his moveset and his powers, I immediately think of 4 other frames I'd rather be playing.
Yeah, because he does something, but he doesn't do the best at any one of those things. He's kind of like Oberon in a sense, or at least how Oberon used to be.
Yeah, as I say, because I've been playing Oberon all day. Excuse me.
Yeah, he kind of sits in that same realm where Oberon used to be. You don't quite know what he's supposed to do.
He's supposed to be kind of a CC guy, and Oberon is definitely support. And I've been playing Oberon today with I've been doing pub games with Oberon, and I have been enjoying playing Oberon. I'm essentially using the same build that Headshot uses.
Okay.
With the exception of quick thinking, because I'm not too worried about myself going down. So. But yeah, it's essentially a sustaining build with Rage, so you're keeping everyone up with Phoenix Renewal, and then you throw your grass and you give everybody a crap ton of armor, and I love it because then it lets me get in the fight as Oberon and feel really good doing that. Plus I have the Feyark skin for Oberon Prime, so he looks fantastic.
Right.
Right, and I definitely went out of my way to, I think I said this last week, I made him, I put the autumn colors on him, the leaves turning colors. That northeastern look for fall, because we're getting close to fall. So all of my frames that are nature based, they get changed with the seasons. So I fashioned them up to look like that, and then I threw the Feyark skin on the the Sylvan Aegis Prime, so it looks fucking amazing. But yeah, I've been farming up Hydroid parts with Oberon and enjoying the crap out of Oberon. Thinking to myself, man, as soon as I get Hydroid, I'm gonna level him up and throw him in the fucking closet. Because Oberon's way more fun. I would rather play him.
Pretty much,
and
right?
That's coming from a Frost main.
Yeah, he's just not as much fun to play. I'm straight up. He's just not as much fun to play.
And that's been the consensus. That's been the consensus, is that he is boring to play. Now, I do know that John wouldn't mind playing him, because John would feel very OP, especially with the additions they've done. When you go into the puddle, you can actually send out a tentacle to grab guys and bring them into your puddle. And then, with his specific, corrosive barrage mod, his augment?
Yeah.
That's what's causing the crazy damage with his barrage when you're in the puddle. So, yeah, it's the stacking of the puddle, the barrage with that augment is what's making the crazy scaling damage that people are talking about as a bug. Well, that DE has stated is a bug, rather. So I understand that could be interesting, and I understand that John may enjoy that for John's playstyle. He might totally dig it, because he would just get a kick out of it. It would make him laugh every time. Right. And he loves the way he loves all the pirate stuff. So the pirate aesthetic is totally John. He fucking digs that shit.
Up his alley.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fault him for that. I'm totally gonna help him get Hydroid Prime, because I'm gonna be going with him. I'm gonna be getting Hydroid Prime as well, and I am 1 or 2 weapons away from 24 because I haven't been playing, so I haven't been grinding out. So Hydroid Prime will definitely put me over 24.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's really all that's going on in the Warframe world.
Right.
There's not much else happening, honestly. Just doing that. Let's see. Yeah, no, everything's pretty well normal for the Warframe world. No big updates. I mean, the community team is actually out at PAX West, which is why there was no
prime time.
My throat is killing me.
Yeah, there's no prime time tonight. Because
yeah, there was no prime time
there.
tonight. I was looking for the update for prime time tonight, and I hadn't realized it. And I was literally looking on Twitter, and Rebecca was talking about how they had missed a flight or something like that in an earlier tweet, and that it didn't dawn on me. Because while I'm doing this, John had gone to YouTube and had clicked on the first thing he saw that said primetime on their channel and started playing it. And I'm like, how the fuck is primetime on right now if they were at an airport? And wait, none of this makes any sense. So I started looking around, and I was having this stupid brain fart moment. It took about 10 minutes of me searching YouTube and Twitch and things like that for not finding this thing, to think to myself, wait a minute, if they're posting stuff on Twitter and nothing is actually coming up on my feeds right now, I stopped and I was like, John, what exactly are you watching today? And what's the title of the video you're watching? Because I knew it was a video. He said, oh yeah, it was Primetime 179. It's like, yeah, that's last week's episode.
Yep.
So I'm listening to last week's episode, thinking that there's an episode this week that I can't find on my phone.
Nice.
It took me 10 minutes to figure this the fuck out today. That's how bad work has been. I'm gonna keep complaining about work. I'm gonna keep...
Oh, come on, you pussy.
But so yeah, that's the Warframe world.
Yeah, there's not much going on like outside of that.
No. We started a little early, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, we started about 5 minutes early today. Okay. I was looking at my timer. I was like, that can't be right. We are about halfway through.
Yeah. We're cooking right along.
I'm gonna
get another drink.
Okay. Yep. That's what's happening there. But so aside from all that good stuff, you got anything particular you want to discuss? Because I have some Paragon things I wanted to bounce off you.
Okay.
Since
we'll go ahead and bounce those off of me.
Okay. So I have been pretty adamant about this whole rep cost situation thing that's been going on, and slowly but surely, they have been winning me over little by little with the additions that they keep making to the rep cost for specifically masteries. Now, I still don't really like the cost for the higher tier masteries. I understand it, but I do not like it.
Okay.
But they have done something that I thought was very interesting, and I found out about it today. Somebody posted a picture. The boosts have changed in this most recent patch.
Ooh.
So in the store, there used to be like one day boosts, what is it? Experience and rep boosts, and they had them split into several tiers, and that's like, was it 10 days, 3 days, a month, whatever. And then they also had wins. There's so many wins you gain a boost. Every time you win, you gain a boost. Every time you don't win, you don't. Right? But they were also pretty high priced.
Right.
Like, it was what? Maybe 400 coins for a good 3 days or something like that. It was a little,
so that's a little pricey.
A little pricey. It was it's close to $5 essentially, because 100 coins is like $1.
Right.
Right. So it was a little ridiculous for a pretty short time, but they have changed the cost. Okay. And they have changed how many boosts there are. There are now only 7 boosts total.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8 boosts. My bad. Yeah, 8 boosts total. And it is, what is it? A 1 day, a 10 day, a 3 day, and a 30 day boost. There's no more win boosts. There's only day boosts. right? So they're timed because once you get them, the boost starts going and counts even when you're not playing.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Unless you want to play for 10 days straight without taking a break, that's on you.
Yeah, good luck with
to get the most out of that. But they have decreased the cost significantly.
Okay.
So I'll start you off with this: a 30-day rep boost is 400 coins.
Ooh.
That's $4. $4 for double XP for a month.
Okay, that's way
so,
more fucking...
Consider... Now, I have been butthurt about this whole rep cost thing, but they have made strides. One, they have lowered the cost at lower ranks for Mastery. So you get 25,000, I think, is for the first level, and then so on from there. It's like 30,000 all the way up to 50,000 or something. I can't remember exactly the numbers off the top of my head, but I believe 25,000 is the first one. Plus, everybody's a lot of newer players are getting tokens, and tokens have been put into the. I'm not sure if it's in chests. I believe it's in. I know it's in loot crates, but tokens, so you can buy any level of mastery for any character in the game. You get a token to do that. Each token gives you one rank, unlocks a rank essentially. But with those two additions, it's like that's great for the new guys. But they've also done this rep and XP boost thing to help you garner rep at an exponential rate, right? You look at 150 coins for 10-day rep boost. So even if you're not playing, and even if you lose matches, you're still going to get double what you would have made off of playing those games, right? So when I'm walking away from a bot game with like 2,000 rep, if I'm making 4,000 rep every bot game, that definitely eases the sting of when, one of my masteries costs, 500,000.
Right.
If I'm playing pretty regularly, that on top of your daily login bonuses of 100,000 and things like that, it'll start to add up fairly quickly. Now, I was super skeptical and super annoyed when I first saw the changes to the rep system.
Right.
Right? Because we weren't getting enough rep income to balance out for the super inflated cost of things for rep now. Because leveling cards costs rep, but that's only a PvE thing, which isn't fleshed out yet, so can't really see much there, but primarily the mastery rank stuff. So now seeing that the boosts have gone from a essentially DLC price down to microtransaction price, which is where they should have been, I think. That actually eases the pain there a little bit. Okay. And in a very positive way, because I could see myself easily going, oh yeah, I'll blow 50 coins on a 3-day boost. That's for the weekend.
Yeah.
That's totally fucking fine. 50 coins, that's 50 cents.
Throw $10 in there and you're set for 3 or 4 months.
Because it's a lot easier for you to think that way when it comes to the microtransactions. That's how they work. Now, I will say that they should probably do something with their loot crates more akin towards, I don't want to compare this, but Overwatch.
Really?
My thought, yeah, okay, so the rep situation, I understand it now. It's, in my eyes, it's not as bad as it could be. It's definitely better than what I saw it going to. But the skins and cards situation and gems. So, when you get crates, you get cards and gems. When you get chests, you get cards and gems. When you get a loot crate, you have a chance at skins and stuff. I honestly think they should probably just lose the whole key and crate system and go right to a Overwatch style system for all of their skins. You have a method for buying each skin individually, and depending on the tier of skin denotes the price, which we already have that for some skins, but not all. Now when you play Overwatch and you get a loot crate, you get loot crates pretty regularly for playing. You play in arcade mode or competitive or whatever, right? You only have so many characters in that game, and they all have roughly 10 or 12 skin variants, right? And a lot of them are recolors. When you look at the 39 heroes we have here, and the amount of skins each hero has, as well as banners, mind you, and say mastery tokens. We'll throw those in there too for good measure. You have a very, very fucking high amount of stuff that you could put into your loot crates and not feel the sting, you know? You would actually incentivize people a lot more to buy loot crates. And the cost of loot crates is pretty high. I'll give it that. Compared to other games.
Yeah, compared to other games, yeah. I don't mind the system we have now. I'm okay with it. Because keys are so much more readily available now than they were before.
Keys are, but not crates.
No, crates require you to play. That's the thing. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being required to play to get those things. That's fine.
Well, no, you don't get crates nearly as quickly as you would in any other game that has a loot box system.
Yeah.
You get chests pretty regularly, yes. And I do like that they have unlocked all the cards for any level. But you still kind of have that RNG that's screwing people on the card and gem side of things. It's not as big and bad a deal, but it is there.
Right. Okay.
It's but the loot crates themselves, they're $3 a pop, right? So at $3 a pop, you're looking at a chance of 1 of 1,000 items, right? So $3 for 1 randomized item. I think they could do better than that. They would actually probably sell a considerable amount more if they lowered that price. Because they do have a considerable amount more than, say, Overwatch. And people spend $50 at a time on loot crates in Overwatch.
Right.
So even if they allotted for duplicates, and the duplicates may be giving you coins, just like in Overwatch, you don't think that would be a better system? How many loot crates would you have purchased if the crates themselves were like $1 a pop?
A lot more, granted. True.
Yeah, you would have spent a fuck ton more money, especially even if you got that gave you maybe a sixth or an eighth of the value in coins. It wouldn't even be that bad, because that's what Overwatch does. I'm not saying they need to go to an Overwatch-style system, but I would prefer it, definitely. I mean, just look at the what you would get in crates if you were to get one, right? Look at the size of crap you could get in one crate. And if they put every skin into the crates, that'd be a ridiculously large pool of stuff you could get. And you allot for duplicates, that'd be hilarious. And hell, you could even keep the key system.
Right.
But I think if you offered people the ability to get crates faster, they would make more money.
Probably, but that would require a larger player base, too.
I don't know. They're doing pretty well.
Like, they are, and
this game is, like, on year 3. We're in year 3.
True, but they are now gearing up for actually rolling out to the public and doing promotion, because they haven't done any promotion yet. So
no, they haven't. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. I was thinking about the whole skins thing and how, you know, people work so hard to get loot crates and things like that, and the cost of them is so high. And then when you do get one, you only really have a chance. I mean, for people who want the thing that they want, which I think is really my biggest issue here is I don't care about Murdoch skins. I don't use Murdoch. There's one skin I like, and I have it. and that's the only thing. And like I said, aesthetic is a very big thing for me. It is for a lot of people. I gotta like what I'm looking at to be interested in it, right? That's the first thing that happens. If I see it and it grabs my attention, I want to know more. So when I look at Murdoch, I see generic Space Marine cop guy. I don't care. But when I see, you know, Biofreak Murdoch, I'm like, okay, that's a little interesting. I kind of like that. I can write a narrative in my head while I'm playing the game. I can enjoy the visuals that are on screen here.
Right.
It seems a bit more interesting now. But if I keep getting Murdoch skins, that's not going to incentivize me to play Murdoch more. There's nothing I can do with those skins. They serve no purpose in my collective inventory. They don't really take up any real space of any kind. It's not like they're tangible physical objects, but it just seems like a waste. I worked really hard for that loot crate, or I spent money on that loot crate, and I got something that is so completely useless to me. You know?
Right. Yeah.
That's why I thought of the Overwatch system, is because even when you get loot crates and you get, you know, fucking
something for a hero you never play.
You know, if you've gotten that, if you put in the option to get duplicates, you get that same thing more than once, and you get, you know, like a fraction of the coins that it will be worth to pay for that. The sting wouldn't be as bad.
True.
Because then, you know, as you get loot crates and you get more duplicates of shit, you just build up more coins, and then you can use those coins to buy other shit. Or buy the skins that you want specifically.
The question is, do we need another currency in Paragon?
No, we use the same currencies we have. We have credits and we have coins. That's it.
True.
And if you make it coins, you make it the premium currency for skins only, that'll actually sate a lot of the community as it is, because a lot of the community has stated multiple times, just let us buy skins directly, because they want the thing that they want. Nobody likes the loot crate system, but if you're going to put it in the game...
Nobody likes RNG.
Yeah, RNG bad. Nobody wants to deal with RNG. So...
But depending on how much they want something, they're willing to put up with it.
Yeah, at least make it so that when I get another Murdoch skin, I can see my coins go up and go, alright, I'm a little bit closer to the next thing that I want for, say, Revenant, or, you know, somebody I actually play. Whoops. Dropped my fidget spinner. But I think they could use a bit of an overhaul. I don't think the loot crate key system is broken, because there are other games that do this already. I think CS:GO is a pretty big culprit of this BS with the key and crate system. I don't like it. I think there are better RNG lottos out there that they could have stolen from, definitely. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that, but that brings me to another point about Paragon and its state right now. It's in such a good state that we can nitpick stuff. That's how you know a game is in a good place. When you can nitpick things. Because I would have never thought of this whole loot crate thing if the game wasn't in an okay place. I wouldn't be pissy about the card or the deck builder having a clipping issue on PS4. I would have real, genuine concerns. Right. But those concerns have been sated.
Yeah, you're true. Like, after this balance patch, it is in a much better spot, because all the characters have been kind of brought back in line from where they were.
For the most part, there can still definitely always be some tweaking. I think some characters could use a little bit more help, like Wraith and stuff. He's okay, but he's still not great.
He's not that bad, though. He's not that...
No, he's not that bad, but, I mean, you're not going to see him in high levels of play, or you would see him in high levels of play with a really well-organized team to utilize him.
Right.
But, I mean, you know, mid-tier play, you're not really going to get a whole lot of him. But, like, the game itself is in a good enough spot that, you know, people don't have a whole lot to complain about. So, you got to find
we'll find a way. We will find something.
I like to think of it as finding the rough edges in something so we can smooth it out and make it a very, you know, seamless and fluid experience of being and playing the game, being in and playing the game. So everything, all the systems surrounding it should be fleshed out as well. And I think that's a good place for them to start looking at those outer systems, because the gameplay itself is pretty well good. It's in an okay spot.
At least for now.
For now, yes. There's going to be ebb and flow, definitely. There's going to be some change, and we know they're going to be making additions to a lot of the systems that are there. So my biggest issue is always going to be their monetization and their itemization. So there are some issues there that I still have with some of the RNG, based around cards and gems and things like that I'm not super fond of, but I'm not sure of the actual impact of some of the stats just yet. So like with the gems specifically. With the cards, I think they could do better with their RNG, because that it does kind of dictate newer players' play styles and their options. It limits them, which they've gotten better about. They've already changed one thing dramatically, so that, you know, not dramatically, but they've changed the access to cards. They've changed the level restrictions. You don't have to be a level 25 to access cards anymore.
What I would say is, it's still fairly limited when you think about it. But at the same time, it kind of needs to be. Because a new player just jumping in needs to kind of have some of those options behind a wall for a second. just to be able to chill out to get the main campaign. It's just they need to find the proper spot for that wall. And I think we're in a closer spot now than we were before. But I still think there needs to be that wall there.
That's a good point, but in a MOBA, and specifically MOBAs, but in competitive games, you never want to put any advantages, any actual gameplay advantages, behind a wall. You need to have all of those up front for the player. I mean, unless you're Call of Duty, but we won't go down that rabbit hole.
It's not exactly that competitive at this point.
No, Call of Duty is no longer a competitive game for skill. Now it's really all about what you have and whatever the meta is.
How much you're willing to spend.
Yeah. But what you have here is something that is similar or is akin to that. When you look at, we had this discussion before about arena shooters like Halo and things like that, where everybody shows up and they're all on equal footing when they show up, and from the OGs all the way down to the nubs, right?
Right.
So in something like this, yes, you want there to be you want people to get into the game and have an okay learning curve to get into the game, but that's different than barring them from the entire range of assets that they could be accessing, right? They may not know, the viability of all those assets right off the bat, but they should have access to them. Because if they come in, this is a PvP game. They come in and they don't have everything at their disposal. The first time they get crushed, they're going to go, okay, how did that guy crush me? How did that team just wipe the floor with us? What do we need to do to combat that? They're going to look up, videos and build guides and things like that and go, okay, so I need these cards and these gems and I got to build my carry this way and you build your support this way and we'll be a great team. Oh, wait, I don't have those cards. I don't have those gems. I can't do this competitive build that I know would work, that would actually help me to, stay alive just a little bit longer and increase my overall skill, You can't put any of that behind that RNG wall. It's a bad idea.
Fair. Yeah, true.
They need to work on that.
Yeah.
They need to work on that because this is a PvP game. This is just a PvP game, all right? And you could make the argument, and I know some people might, that hey, play PvE for a while, fucking play against bots so you can get some rep and rank up and unlock some crates and get some stuff. But it's like that's not that big a stream to drink out of. I'm sorry, it's not. The progression on that is considerably slow because this is a MOBA. Games take time. Progression takes time. Okay. I don't care how many games you play in a fucking day, you might be able to get one full rank of, a mastery. And that's gonna be
in a day.
That's gonna be like what, fucking 30 games?
It's gonna be a lot.
30 games, that's a good portion of your day gone. And unless you're one of the live streamers who does that shit regularly, you're not going to be cranking out an entire mastery and getting, 5 or 6 chests to unlock stuff. And then each of those chests only has a chance of giving you one of everything in the game, right? So there's still that RNG there.
Well, and they've been mitigating it a little bit with
they've changed it so that cards are not
and other things like that with loot crates, and with mitigation they've changed cards now because I think they unlock all of the cards for you right at the beginning, right?
Yes. Now you can have all the cards drop, but the cards are still behind RNG.
Okay.
You're still not granted access to all the cards.
Right.
Or, as far as I know, you don't just show up and go, okay, I want to make a deck and have every single card in the game. And it's really not that much, honestly. It's only 120 cards, something like that. It's like it's around 120 total cards in the game right now. So, but yeah, like and they just brought back a card. What is it? Dune Winds just came back into the game.
I did see that.
Nobody had Dune Winds. Nobody.
Yeah.
So now everybody has RNG to get Dune Winds, and several people post on the subreddit and the forums, oh hey, this is what Dune Winds is because I got it randomly in a crate. Like, that seems a little shitty. It's to put that type of stuff behind an RNG wall is a bad idea. There needs to be a better way to do that. I'm not going to say I know what that better way is, but a new player needs to have access to every bullet that can be fired out of every gun. You can't just go...
to it, yeah.
Access to it. They may not know how to use that gun or why that bullet is important, but they need to have access to it because they're going to see OGs show up and have that gun and every manner of bullet shoved into it.
Yeah, true.
You know?
True.
So, because, okay, prime example. When we played before 42 and Yin, it was about the week Yin dropped, I think it was.
Yeah.
And somebody had come to us. I was already mastered Twin Blast.
Oh, yeah.
And the dude was in our game and he's like, hey, can you switch? Because I have a 600 DPS Yin. And he did not do very well in that game. It's like, yes, you have a 600 DPS Yin. First off, DPS, not really something we're taking into account right now.
Yeah, that's something we're worried about.
You can use that metric to measure your damage output. That's fine, but this is a MOBA. This is about pacing, and that's fantastic. But like I have a master Twin Blast for a reason. I play the crap out of that character. Like I play Twin Blast. I know how to use him very well and effectively. And this guy took a build that he saw on, YouTube somewhere and said, "Oh, I got this build and it's badass." And it may have won him a game or two, but he jumped in a game with us and he did not do well, and we did not win that game. And he was our carry, and his buddy was his support. And they had comms, they were together, but he was getting beat up pretty hard
because it's a new character and everybody's scared, essentially.
And he was not being as effective with his 600 DPS build. He wasn't doing his job, and that's a new player coming in thinking they know shit, and they don't, but they do have access to make those mistakes, to see that outrightly. So I let him go and was like, go ahead and do your Yin build. I'm not going to hold you back from that. I've mastered Twin Blast. I don't need to keep playing him. It's totally fine.
Right.
Like, go ahead, dude. And, I was a little cocky about it. It's like, well, I mean, if you want to go ahead and put me, in off lane or something like that where I'm not as good as I would be at carry, like, if you're more concerned with looking like a badass than putting, your best players in their better positions to help you, or to give you a better chance at winning the game, then that's on you. Fine. I'm not going to hold anybody back from experimenting and trying things and doing stuff, Right. But that's a pretty good example of he had the right gun, he had the right bullets, he didn't know how to use them.
Right.
So, but he did have those things at his disposal. He could do whatever the hell he wanted. So I'm not going to stifle somebody's ability to do that, and the game shouldn't stifle someone's ability to do that and make those decisions.
True.
So that's my only really big gripe with Paragon right now is kind of fixing that RNG for stats, essentially, is what it is, because cards give you stats and they give you abilities and things like that. So when you start hiding those stats and abilities behind RNG, you're essentially cutting off a certain population of your player base from being able to experience things at certain levels.
Right.
So, and it isn't cut off entirely, because you will eventually get those things if you play enough, but you should have the ability to copy somebody who's playing PEX or whatever, and you try to use their build to hopefully make you better at playing the game, to understand a carry, to understand a support, or what have you, right?
Right.
But you're never going to understand their true experience of playing the way they do and understanding their play style at the top tier if you don't have access to the same stuff that they have access to.
Okay.
So that's my rant on that. I'll let that go.
Fair.
But okay, did you have a topic that you wanted to discuss or rant about?
There is something that we should probably talk about right before we end. We are.
I was gonna say we are getting close to time.
But there is something I wanted to go over. There's been some things happening in the real world that I'm actually going to have to blah blah blah. Nah.
I'm taking a job opportunity.
Yes.
Which isn't going to allow you
to be part of this podcast.
To be part of the podcast. So.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I'm going to be stepping away from doing this for extended period of time, and you're going to be taking over from what we've talked about and kind of be running it more of an editorial style, more of a kind of
it
just
might be
string of thoughts.
It might be a more edited video situation that goes up on the YouTube channel, and some of the timing might change because of my schedule as well. Some things are actually changing for me. I'm going to be traveling abroad in another month or two for like 2 weeks, so there might not be anything up. I would have to record some things to put them up, so I do want to test that before I actually end up having to do it. So I'm thinking we might go in that direction. However, I may just do a string of consciousness while doing some gameplay for next week.
Sounds good.
So we'll see where that ends up, depending on what actually happens with me next week.
Okay. So yeah, be expecting that for sure.
So there will be that change right there, as well as probably some other changes to the channel as a whole to I don't know, better deal with all this that's going on.
For that, yeah.
Dude, one of the rubber pads to my fucking keyboard is... Oh, there it is. It got unstuck from where it belongs, and it's stuck to another part of the keyboard. I'm gonna have to re-glue that. That's bad. I really like my keyboard. It lights up.
Apparently the keyboard's not so great.
Apparently the sticky pads that hold it in place are not as sticky as they should be. That's not cool. But the rest of my keyboard is badass. But yeah. So you are not going to be consoling or casualing for quite some time.
For a considerable amount of time, yeah.
For a extended amount of time, not an undisclosed or indeterminate rather amount of time. An indeterminate amount of time. We don't know exactly how long you're gonna have to go away and do stuff for work, and when you will be back to do this particular video game discussion crap that we do here.
Which is a ton of fun, and I've had a blast, absolute blast doing it. I'm super glad that we actually started doing it, and it's interesting because I didn't know how much fun this was going to be, and I really enjoyed doing the curated videos before, but this has been considerably more fun for me. So.
So yeah, we are at about time, getting close anyway. So if that's all we got this week,
that's I think it for this week.
Me ranting about the Paragon and not much happening in Warframe, and it appears one of our other friends is getting into Fortnite, I guess. But we'll see where that goes. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to play himself, so we'll find out.
Game's
anyway.
a bit of a time sink. So
yeah, and that motherfucker still has my Alien Isolation disc. So yeah. If I see he's playing Fortnite, I'm gonna walk over to his house and kick his door in and go get my goddamn game.
Okay. Thank you guys for watching. It has been a great experience being able to be part of this. But for now, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching and being a part of this. And I will see you eventually. Yeah, go with that.